Welcome, everybody. I'm here today with Anvi Patel, who is a solutions engineer at VMware. And she's also the co-creator of Paperless Games, an amazing online mystery game that you should all try. Welcome.
Hiya, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to talk to you all today.
Such a pleasure, Anvi. Maybe we could start off with you telling me a little bit about yourself, about your life, about your family background.
Yeah, sure. So I am, like you said, a solution engineer at VMware. I started on a graduate program in 2019, so I've been here for just over 2 years now. I also did an internship here at VMware, so that's one of the reasons why I came back. Um, yeah, I also co-created Paperless Games. Something that I created during lockdown. Was I'm really into board games, you could say. I love playing board games with my friends. And then when we went to lockdown, I was a bit sad because I couldn't play with them. So I thought, why not make a cool game online where we could just, go hop on a Zoom and play some games. And it kind of went really crazy from there. Like everyone loved it, and then everyone wanted to play it. And I was like, oh my God, like this is not what I expected at all. So yeah, now that's available for everyone. In terms of family, I have a one sister who's 3 years younger than me, and I live with my parents. Small family, but very cute.
Okay, so you already mentioned that you did an internship and the graduate program at VMware. What is your education background? So did you always know you wanted to go into IT? Because obviously you already have quite a long career for such a young woman in IT. Is that something you always wanted to do? Is that something your parents supported?
Um, I never even knew like what I do now existed. I didn't think I would ever be doing what I'm doing now. My background was, so I went to like just a normal school, then I went to high school, and we have a thing called A levels here. So you pick like 3 subjects and you take them further to study. And at the time, I was really into like maths, art, and I really liked IT as well. So I went with that path. IT went quite well for me, but I never knew what I would do with it because yeah, I really wasn't sure. So the thing is, I never in my entire like career journey I knew what I wanted to do. I just went with what am I good at and what do I enjoy, and that kind of helped me towards my next step, which was like university. So when I went to university, I looked for things which would ideally give me a good job, something that I could do. And everyone was like, "Oh, you're quite creative, you're good at maths. Why didn't you do computer science?" And I was like, "Okay, that kind of combines the two things I like, so why not?" Um, so I went to City University in London and I studied computer science. It was a bit of a shock because it wasn't anything like I expected. I thought it was more like, I don't know, designing things and all sorts, but it was more around coding, which FYI, I'm awful at. But I managed to somehow get over that. But yes, so I studied computer science. In terms of my parents, I'm actually like the first person to go to university out of my whole family. So they had very high hopes, of course. They wanted me to do really well. When I said I'll go into probably IT, they were quite confused because they expected like normal Asians, you're either like a doctor or like if you're a guy, you're an engineer. So when I said IT, they were like, what can you do with that? Like, what's that? And I was just like, no, it's super cool. I can get a job in that. Don't worry. It's something I enjoy, but it's not like, I'm not wasting. I promise you I'll do well. And they were supportive, but it was just very new to them. First one being going to university, first one like in my whole like extended family even, first one to go into something like IT. So it was a bit of a confusing thing. One thing I didn't mention as well. So after my A levels, because I didn't do so well, I actually had to go into a foundation year. But I did have, so I'm talking so much, I did have the choice to either go straight into a university degree at a university that I wasn't too fond of going to because it was quite far. It didn't have the best reviews in terms of, like getting a job afterwards and how the curriculum was. Or I could do a foundation year at like as a city university, which was one of my choices. Um, so my parents were very confused again, saying, why aren't you going straight into first year with everyone else? Why are you opting for the foundation year? And I was like, I really feel like this is the best choice for me. And again, it took a while for them to understand that just because I'm going to a foundation year, which was which was like in their eyes like completely failure. They were like, everyone's going to be a year ahead of you. You're going to do a foundation year. It doesn't look great. And I was like, don't worry, that's not the case at all. There's a lot of people who do foundation years, and if I do a foundation year in this, I'll be more prepared for university. If I go straight into university, I might even fail that as well, because obviously I didn't do so well at my A levels. So in the end, I went and did my foundation year. I did really well. First year again was amazing. Second year is when that coding thing came back. It was very intense coding. Did not like it at all. I kind of just about scraped to pass, but at that point I really thought I was going to drop out. I was like, I don't think I can do IT. IT isn't for me, and I was really close to dropping out. But then my partner, he got an internship at an IT company, and I was like, oh, I want to do an internship. So that's when I started applying for internships. I landed at VMware, which was amazing. And I think when I did my internship, I realized, wow, there's so much you can do with IT. Like, you don't need to be able to code, and there's a really cool company that I would love to come back to. And on it, I hand on heart, if I didn't how do I say, if I didn't do this internship, I probably wouldn't have finished my degree. Like, the reason why I went back and completed my third year and did really well my third year actually was because I got that passion back up for IT again. And that's only because of my internship at VMware. And I'm not trying to promote anything, but that was genuinely the case for me. But yeah, long story short, that was my career journey. I mean, my educational background.
That's so interesting. I mean, especially the fact that you nearly failed your studies because of coding, which is incidentally what people think about when you tell them that you're in IT. So, oh, so you're somebody who knows how to program really well. Actually, I don't either. I did learn it, but I'm not really good at it. So, and I also didn't enjoy it a lot. So, yeah, so that's an interesting story, that this preconceived notion of what it means to be in IT, which is reinforced throughout the study, could actually lead you to choose something else or fail in your study, which would have been a really sad thing, because you're obviously really passionate about this. And it also shows, I think, that there are some aspects of a certain topic that you're passionate about that you might not enjoy, so that you can always still find a place within that area, like you did now. So when you finished the study, did you immediately go into the graduate program here at VMware?
So another thing I forgot to actually mention, during my internship, I did project management as my internship. And when I finished my degree, I actually applied to come back as a project manager. But unfortunately, at that time, they didn't have that role for graduates. And that's when one of the recruiters came out to me and said, oh, there's this role called system engineering. It's a bit more technical, but I think you're the right fit. And at that time, I was like, oh, I've heard about this during my internship. It is a little bit more technical, but I think I can do it. So then I applied. It went really well. Like, I really thought this was like perfect for me. But then I didn't get selected either. So that was like, oh no. I was a bit upset because unlike, I don't recommend this, but I was one of those people who applied to maybe like 3 or 4 graduate schemes, and that's it. Like, I was very, very selective in what I chose. So yeah, I didn't get it, but then I was placed as a reserve, and then a few days later they actually called me back and said, actually, we would love to offer you the job. And I was like, yeah, perfect, this is perfect. But you do get that self-doubt that, just because I missed it, am I not good enough? Or like, can I still do this? Because I think I can. But yeah, but in the end I went for it, and I went for the graduate scheme. Amazing. It was in Ireland. I spent a year and a half in Ireland, did the whole graduate program. They taught me about the products, the solutions. I got to meet loads of people around the world. It was like being at university again, but actually getting paid to be at university, if you could say. But it was a lovely experience. But yeah, that's how I ended up at the graduate program. And then after that, I went into a field role. So now I'm back in London, doing the solution engineering role.
So That's an interesting story around, you know, how you feel when you get rejected for a certain position or role you apply to. And I think there's an experience that all of us have to make throughout our professional life, right? That we try something and then we fail at achieving it, be it a degree, a certificate. There are a lot of certificates that you have to get, and sometimes you fail the test, right? And there's always this moment of doubt. But how did you, I mean, you obviously you got lucky, and a few days later that moment went away. But how did you cope with that? You know, with failing what you tried to achieve.
So I think I mentioned a few things, but like every time I failed, it does feel awful. I'm not going to like sit here and be like, oh, it's amazing. But like once you come out of that failure, you realize that that was all part of the journey, growing, becoming better. So I do think like if I didn't try and fail, I probably wouldn't be where I am now. But yeah, to overcome it, I feel like everyone will go through this standard phase of not feeling great, which is completely normal. But after that, I I'm someone who doesn't just want to sit there and be like, okay, I'm just gonna give up. I really just I'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna try again. Like a quick story. During my internship years, I did apply for another company, and they rejected me because I was very animated, you could say. Like, I wasn't too professional for them, and I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. And I was like, there was a sense of, you know what, I know I can do this. I know I can get an internship somewhere, and I'm not going to change who I am for it. If I have the right skills, I can do the job. Why should I not be able to get a job somewhere? So then that kind of drove me. Like every time someone said rejected me, I was like, no, but I know I can do it. So I'll just keep trying and trying and trying. And I know I got lucky, but I feel like if you keep trying, you'll get to some place where you'll feel happy. But yeah, also it's important that I think I've seen a lot where you see a lot of, let's say, college graduates or something drop out and they become like, I don't know, the CEO of a new company, or you see all these success stories, and I feel like that's an extreme as well. Like just because that didn't happen to you doesn't mean you're a failure. At the same time, you see maybe a 14-year-old who is now employed at, I don't know, Google, because they're the best coder they've ever seen, like really super, super smart. And you're like, I'm never going to be successful because I'm not like super smart, nor did I get super like, I wasn't lucky enough or didn't work hard enough or whatever to become the CEO of Microsoft or something, you know? I feel like a lot of people have their own failures, and everyone, if you manage to overcome them, you feel that sense of achievement. I think the reason I'm so happy to do this today is just for people out there who've had the ordinary failures, you could say. It's fine. You don't need to be the best at anything. You don't need to fail to like always succeed after. It's just every little thing that you failed at, it helps you grow to be the person that you are now. Like right now, I can like say that I do a job which I really enjoy. I'm pretty, not to boast, but I do think I'm pretty good at it. And I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't the person who got straight A's. I work normally I don't overwork myself. I try my best, you know. But yeah, it's possible to end up with like a good career, a good place to work, something you can enjoy and not like kill yourself over, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think you said something very important. The first thing you said is that failure hurts. That's just as it is. And that is an experience that we make. And it should not stop us from trying again. I mean, just the fact we can't avoid this pain of failure by not trying, because then we will fail forever. So the first thing is that you have to try again and again, like you did trying to get an internship, for example. And the other thing I think is very important to understand is that you shouldn't change yourself just to get something. Like you said, they didn't want you because you were animated. I mean, you can't actually try to be someone else just to get an opportunity. You have to find something where they appreciate who you are. So not getting that job because they didn't like the way you were animated is actually a good thing, even though the failure feels bad. And yeah, and then the third thing that I find really important here is the factor that you grow through failures. You know, you learn something about yourself, you learn something about the opportunities you're looking for and all this stuff. So I think it's very good points that you made here. Yeah, thank you for that. So, and you also started talking about how much you enjoy your job, and maybe you could talk a little bit about what you do on a daily basis to give people an idea what solutions engineer do and what the role looks like.
Sure. So I'll give you an example of what maybe like a day-to-day looks like for a solution engineer. Pre-COVID, of course, because that kind of changed a lot of things. But essentially, we help our customers with our solutions. We try and understand their problems that they're having. We try and pitch. Well, we'll be there to support them to say, oh, we know something that can help you, how this solution could work in your own environment. So we're essentially a problem solver, you could say, in the most simplest form. And let's say if it before COVID, I would have maybe in a working week, I would spend maybe 3 or 4 days at a customer site. So I might be going to one of my customers. I'll spend a day with them. We'll go through their issues. We'll go through solutions. We'll probably have lunch, and that's how most of my day will be spent at this customer's office or their site. And then I'll probably have one day where I maybe go into the office or maybe work from home. It's super flexible, which I love. So essentially that's what we do. You don't need to be the most technical person for this, because like I said, for the graduate program, they go through all of it. They teach you everything you need to know. Like when I walked in, I didn't know anything about VMware technology, but during the graduate program, they teach you everything that you need to know to do the job. The only thing I would say is kind of key is if you get a good sense of feeling after you solve someone's problem, that achievement, then that's great. This is a good role for you. You gotta be like you have to not be too shy to like talk to a customer. You gotta be confident to talk to new people every day, because that's what I have to do, and be a good listener, because if you don't listen and you're just always talking, you never understand what the customer's trying to achieve, what their roadmap looks like, how they want to transform their IT. But yes, so I'd say it's all more about the soft skills rather than the techie skills. But that's pretty much what we do. I might deliver some presentations here and there. We do have some days where we run events where we just talk about certain technology. So there's a lot involved in the solution engineering role. But the good thing is, again, you make the role how you want it to be. You know, that you're not I would never be able to give you like a list of bullet points where you're stuck on like, that's all you do. There's so much to it. But yeah, it's amazing. Yes.
Yeah. Obviously, you enjoy doing what you're doing a lot, and you talked a lot about how you communicate with the customer, that you have to understand them, that you have to be able to listen, and that it's more about the soft skill than the tech skills. I mean, you have a degree in computer science, which obviously helps, but you actually feel that this is more about soft skills. Which are the soft skills that you feel are the most important in your role that you have? Maybe explain that a little bit.
Sure. Yes, I definitely agree. I do think the soft skills is what they look for, especially during the interview process. Even when we now do interviews, we try and find out all the soft skills that person has, because as long as someone is willing to learn, and because like I said, you get taught everything you need to know, and if that person is willing to learn and likes IT, then you're kind of already there. But yeah, some of them, like I did mention, would be the listening skills, the communication skills, um, problem solving. Again, if you like to solve problems, and I think it does help if you've had prior experience to things like maybe not saying have to, but if you've done a role in, let's say, tech support before, that really does help, because you really understand what a customer, like the pain points are, and things like that really do help. Like for example, before I even started my internship, I had a part-time job just to get through university, and I worked at Curry's PC World. So I sold tech, so I sold computers, TVs, and I was part of the computer section, and as part of it I actually was also in the help desk area, so where they have issues, so like my laptop doesn't work, my iPad doesn't work, and I think a lot of my skills came from there. I apologies, I learned that when a customer is going through their problems, the worst thing you can do is just over talk. You need to listen to them. You need to understand that, okay, there's an issue, we need to help them, even if the customer doesn't see how it's maybe their fault. You have to give them that chance to vent out all that frustration before you go in pitching a solution. So I think a lot of skills do come from, let's say, part-time jobs. You might not even know it. You might be, I don't know, serving, you might be working at Tesco or something, but everything that you do, you're picking up all the soft skills. And I think everything does shape you to become a really good solution engineer. But yeah, I would say the main things, like I just said, will be the listening and the communication skills.
Yeah, definitely. So you already talked about how much you enjoyed the internship and the graduate program, but what you like about working at VMware now? I mean, of course, there's the flexibility, but what else do you enjoy about life at VMware?
So the one thing I do love is the culture at VMware, and this one is quite hard to explain unless you've kind of been there. But I think especially when you have like a lot of friends who are like going for this, who are like maybe like a similar age, going for the same things as you see the difference. Like when I went for my internship, if I was given responsibility, I was allowed to like actually bring in revenue for the company. I wasn't just told to, oh, could you make some tea and coffee for me? They really trust you as an intern, even as a graduate program. You never feel like there's a hierarchy. Like at the moment, I do some like technology sessions with the CTO, Joe Bagley, and yeah, like I said, I'm a graduate doing this, so it's amazing. Like I'm able to do sessions with the CTO, and it's not like, oh, you're a graduate. Like I feel like there's no hierarchy. I could book a meeting with, like, let's say CTO or anyone, and openly tell them how I'm feeling, if I'm struggling with anything. And I love that culture at VMware where you're not felt like you're at the bottom of the food chain, if that makes sense. It's very welcoming. We have really good diverse groups here. There's a lot of pods that I'm involved in. So there's like the women pod, there's Asian at VMware. So we have all these groups at VMware where, if you're interested in something, you can take part in it, which is amazing. We have a Gen V group. Again, this is like a network for young professionals. Something that actually did help create as well. So you have a lot of responsibility. You do feel important. You never feel like you're shoved to the side and never looked at as a like a small person within such a huge company as well. Like VMware, we have like thousands and thousands of employees. So it's amazing that you do get recognized for all of this. So I do love the culture here. And I think that's a very important reason why I wanted to come back. Even during the internship, I saw that. And that's one of the reasons why I just wanted to come back. I absolutely loved it.
I'm so glad that you're enjoying working at VMware. That sounds amazing. But I also feel you have a lot of energy. I mean, you're someone who has a lot of drive and energy. And I think that also accumulated in creating a company during lockdown. I mean, I would like to understand a little bit more about the process. You said you enjoy playing games and then you couldn't play with your friends during lockdown. But what goes into creating a whole company? I mean, that's with an online presence and developing. That looks like so much work, because I already joined one of your games and enjoyed it a lot, but I would like to understand how you do that.
Sure. So like I said, during lockdown, over a weekend actually, I thought of a really cool game, and I was in my loft and I probably spent a whole weekend trying to make this game work. And initially it was just like a murder mystery on paper. And then what I did is I created into like a PDF document, and I shared like this attachment to all my friends so they could play it. It wasn't on a website. It was nothing. Like, it was very, very simple, just because I really wanted to play this game. And because everyone loved it and more people wanted to, like, I used to like Instagram be like, oh yeah, we're playing this really cool game. More people played it, and they were like, this is so cool. Then when the new grads joined, one of the people who runs the graduate scheme, she was like, oh, we need to find a fun activity. Like usually you'll probably go to the bar or like bowling or something. And I was like, oh, I have this really cool game if they want to play it. And then that's when I was like, oh God, I have this game, but it's not in a shareable format yet. So then I asked my partner who also created this with me, if he could put this onto a website for me, because he's a lot better at web development than I am. And he was like, yeah, of course. So then he put it all onto a website for me. His little younger brother, he studies graphic design at university. So he drew all the characters and all the you could say all the graphics for the games. And we just had one game and it was on a website and it went crazy. Everyone loved it. And more people wanted to play it. And then I was like, okay, I physically can't do this by myself. So then we put a pricing model on there. I got loads of university students who were out of part-time jobs if they want to become hosts. So for every session they host, they get paid for it. And at the same time, people can play my games without me having to be there. So that's how we try to scale up. We registered the company. It was all new to me. It's the first time, I've never done this, but I just wanted to make sure I was doing everything by the books and doing it all properly. And we had like Halloween and Christmas come up. So during Halloween, I was like, oh, I'm going to make a Halloween version of a new game. And then for Christmas, I'm in another game. And so these games don't take too long to create because they're very, very simple. But I do have like amazing team who helps make these. Like I said, his brother does all the graphic design and he does all the web development. All I need to do is come up with a story and find all the little bits and bobs which connect to each other. And like I said, I have a lot of university students at the moment who help run and host my sessions. We train them up. But yeah, most of the time this is like a weekend thing that I do, or maybe after work hours. But yeah, it's just gone. I did not expect to do something like this. But yeah, as you can already tell, I'm so overwhelmed by it as well, as much as anyone else. But I'm very, very pleased. And the main thing was I wanted to let a lot of people connect together because lockdown was like a really, really weird time for people. I wanted to connect people together so they could interact with their friends and family and play games. Initially, I didn't even like charge or anything for this. I would just do it on my weekends and after work hours. But because it grew so much, I obviously had to get like some way of maintaining this and scaling this up. But honestly, it was more of a passion project more than a let's make money sort of project, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And it also shows very nicely what is possible in our digital transformation world where, you have all these little tools that you can use. You don't have to, it used to be that you needed a whole lot of resources to do something like this. But now what it takes is an idea and a few people with skills, and then you can build something like that, which is amazing. I mean, this is one of the things I find so fun about working in tech. And I think that's something I want to share with as many people out there, that these are the things you can do with, obviously, even if you don't like programming, you can make something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So also a really great story. Anvi, maybe before we wrap up, is there something you would like to recommend to young women who would like to start out in tech? Some experience that you would already like to share? I mean, you're still young, but you already have such a long journey and such an interesting journey behind you. I'm sure you have something you could recommend.
So what I would like to recommend is, so if you are, let's say you are studying like a technical degree, bear in mind, even if you're not, like you say, if you're not good at it, doesn't mean you can't finish it and get a career in IT if that's what you want to do. And people who aren't on a technical degree but see themselves working in IT, that's also possible. Honestly, the main thing is having an interest. So if you there's a few conferences and stuff I used to attend because I found them cool. Like, you saw these AR, VR gadgets, you saw 5G stuff. So anything that you find interesting and you just take part in, that's all you really need. If you have an interest, just go for it. Sometimes you might feel like you need everything on paper, like 2 years experience doing this, a technical degree. But half the time you don't. And I think a lot of women especially, if we don't tick all the boxes on a job description, we won't apply for it. And I'm one of those people. If I don't tick these boxes, I'm like, yeah, I'm never gonna get selected. But give it a chance, give it a try. You don't know, you might be everything they're looking for. Yes, you might be missing a few things, but it's not something you can't catch up on. The biggest thing I'll say is just have the passion. If you fail, don't worry. I used to think, oh, I failed something, I'm never gonna get a job. I genuinely thought that. And it's this phrase where I was like, it's not that deep. It's really not. It's just every little thing helps you towards the next goal. Even if it takes you a little bit longer, it takes you longer. That's what it is. It doesn't mean you failed in life completely. So don't stress about any or your little failures. It's just helping you grow. I know it hurts, but we all have been there. And ordinary people like myself, if I can do it, I'm pretty sure everyone else can too. But that's what I want to say.
Yes, thank you for that. I think it's important that you said this, especially about even if you're not good at one specific thing in computer science, you still have a place in IT, because there's so many things you can do here, and you cannot actually imagine how many different roles are possible. And it doesn't matter if you fail at something, you can always get up, try again, try it differently, and you might succeed. Life is not over till it's over, so always keep on trying. So thank you for joining me, Anvi. Thank you for giving me the time. It was a pleasure talking to you. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Goodbye.